First of all, Stamaz, you should know that it is Kislev Farbrengen. Maybe these are famous things, but it's Kedai to maybe Chazer over them over again. That Farbrengen it is Kislev, besides for the Chassidus Farbrengen is a grace Zach, but besides that, it is Kislev Farbrengen, that was the Chassidus were Meser Nefesh, Pasha the Farbrengen it is Kislev. In the hardest times in Russia, when they weren't able to leave their Daldamis, so for Farbrengen it is Kislev was one of the, I don't remember now all the stories, but one little meister that sticks out, that Reb Tzachana writes in her memoirs, in her Zechrenis, that when Reb Leivik went to prison, I think before Pesach, Nisan Tapish Sadik Tes, he was in jail. And the first year, Kemat for a year, I think he was in jail. And he wrote her a letter towards the beginning, mamish towards the end of the summer, the first chance he was able to send his wife to Reb Tzachana a letter. So it wasn't easy to send a letter to your family. So you had mamish, let's say, once every couple of months he was able to send a letter. So he sent a letter at the end of the summer. And there, what the Reb Leivik wrote in the letter is that she should make sure, since he's not sure when the letter is going to come to her, has to go through the censorship. They have to read everything that says in the letter. So she's not sure when he's not sure when she's going to get the letter. He wants to make sure that she gets the letter before he takes Kislev. He wants to make sure that every year this Kislev is to have a Farbrengen in the shul, a big festive celebration. And he wants to make sure that even though he's not going to be there, he's in jail, but the celebration that he's going to sell, that there's going to be in the Shul Kislev shouldn't be any effect the fact that he's not there. Shouldn't be nirgash at all. She should make sure there should be a geherik chagigah tes Kislev, and there shouldn't be murgash at all his not being there. It should be a freilich chagigah. So he thought about it. At the end of the summer, when he's writing her a letter, making sure that tes Kislev Farbrengen was it's not just Gilei Chassidus tes Kislev is not just it's Galus of La'asid Lavi. It's a breakthrough which is negea to the Yefutza Ma'anesacha Chutza Ka'asi Marda Malka Mashiach. It's much more broader than our little narrow little life that we're living in. It's a universal thing. It says Galus Chassidus Uftu, which is connected to the Era Gula. It's a grace Zach. And Chassidim, now we're Chassidi Chabad, we have a Shaykhis Dal Tereba, we have a Shaykhis to Chassidus, so we have a Shaykhis to something which is far beyond, much greater than us. And the Farbrengen of Yitas Kislev is not just, it's more than just the little personal needs that we have. It's more than we're celebrating our Shaykhis to Chassidus, our Shaykhis to Dal Tereba. We're celebrating Chassidus itself, which is much more greater than us. That's just a word when you get Dal Tereba himself says it, I'm a Farbrengen to Yitas Kislev, so Dal Tereba is Maftiach, I remember the Lashenis, so the Fiedgar brings it in a Sikha. That is going to be Meitzi, whoever is Mishtatef is Imchasei, Begufay, Benishmasei, B'mamaynes, the Alter Rebbe says that he's going to be Meitzi, that person, Min HaMeitzer, La Merchav, Min HaGeshem, Ala Ruach, and Min HaGehenim. Yeah, the Elam is Bakant mit der Nusach. As the Alter Rebbe said. That whoever is Mishtatef in the Simcha is going to be Meitzi, Min HaGeshem, Ala Ruach, Min HaMeitzer, Ala Merchav, and Min HaGehenim. So as in the Shtatef, the Alter Rebbe Simcha, the Simcha of Chassidus, even though we have no real understanding, we have no real asagi, and what's the Uftu of Chassidus. It's in ibn get to Gilei HaMashiach, but this is Rabban HaShaykh is with them. This is ein Zach that l'chaim. I'm not sure really what I should speak about here, but from the only people I know is Benji Pearson. Maybe I should speak in Yanu Mashar. I know Rabbi Pearson is listening to get him. I go upon him. Grade, one of the in the shura, one of these shuras that he put out over there. So David Raskin writes a Yechidus that he had to the Rebbe. So he wrote to the Rebbe that he thinks Chassidus every day. He learns Chassidus and he thinks Chassidus every day. And he doesn't feel that it has any effect on him. Doesn't feel that it has any ashpa on him. What type of life was the given the problem in there? But he says it doesn't have any. He's a bacher still. Doesn't have any effect on him. So the Rebbe told him in Yechidus, so Mele, he maybe needs another Eitzah, maybe I have to learn it from my Marim, as he had to gefragt. So the Rebbe answered him as Kenner Zayin. It's not possible. It can't be that you're learning Chassidus and you're working on it, and you're thinking about it, and it has no effect on you. It's not possible. Lav Dafki, you sense the effect that it has now, maybe it's going to be later, but it's never Pasha that if you're learning Chassidus and you're working on it, it's going to have an effect on you. So that's Rak upon him. So, one of the Sachen that the Friedrich writes in the Farbrengen Yitas Kislev is to be speak about the mechazik, the inner of Limud Chassidus, also in the Ayim Yom, when the Rebbe gives the Wunsch to after Yitches Kislev, so the Wunsch is L'shana Teva b'Limud Chassidus u'B'darkei Chassidus. So the first thing L'shana Teva is b'Limud Chassidus, the learning of Chassidus. So maybe I'll just speak about this for a couple of minutes here. this is an important thing because for etliche sibis, but first we'll just say the Gufeinian. The Rebbe speaks many times that the Frater speaks about the Kudas in Yanosh Teres Achsidis, that on one hand we find, it's brought in different places of the Friedrich Rebbe's Sichers, that the Gilei Achsidis is connected, it came as a remedy or as a cure, as a something to help for different specific problems and needs that people had. So the famous thing that was on the Baal Shem Tov, the world is in a state of Isalfus, when a state of Farchalishkeit. People were overwhelmed with Tirdis HaParnasa. There was a big churban then in different kehillas, and people were dreaded and overwhelmed with their Tirdis, the Gashmis to get Tirdis. They had no space of mind to connect to davening or to learning and to connect to Elokus. So that's what the Baal Shem Tov came to me'er the Eilam from his Isalfus. Now the Baal Shem Tov came, Chassidus was the remedy that was able to connect a person through Simcha Shel Mitzvah. He used different methods. Till then, the methods to connect the Yid to the Eibishter was, you have to, through learning, through intense learning, through extensive time of learning, and then he got appreciation of Yiddishkeit of Elokus. But if someone didn't have the time to learn, didn't have the peace of mind to learn, didn't have the mind space and the calmness, the Yishuv Adas to learn, so there was no way of him connecting to Yiddishkeit, connecting to Elokus, so he felt left out. So his life ended up being dry. Spiritually, his life was totally dried out, and there was no way for him to connect to Torah Mitzvahs, to Elokus. The Baal Shem Tov brought in new methods to connect even simple people to the Eibishter, even people which don't have the time to sit and be mis'amik and tifes sugis and shas and to appreciate the depth of Chachmah Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu and connect to the. That was the common way then to connect to the Eibishter. That was the common way to connect to Ruchnis and Elokus. So Baal Shem Tov gave different methods of Simcha Shel Mitzvah and Achayis, and he brought out the mile of the Pshitas of Eish Pashut, the mile of saying Eish Satayra, the mile of davening. So there was Chassidus came and brought out different methods which gave even simple people the ability to connect to the Eibishter, different ideas and new values, new inyanim, which gave everybody the ability to connect to Elokus. You didn't have to be a Grace Lamdin, a Grace or have time to be a big Lamdin. Simcha Shel Mitzvah, Chayis, Tmimos, Pshitus. I mean, there's Fashidnei inyanim which the Baal Shem Tov brought out the depth that there is in even the most simple and external movement of a Yid. He brought out the Emek and the Pnimius, which gave even people which don't have the time for it to connect and to feel a deep and a real connection to the Eibishter. So the fact that the Baal Shem Tov came to give this new type of connection to the Eibishter, that was a response to a certain need, to a certain lack that there was. You couldn't connect in a way of learning deeply, so we gave you another method of connecting to the Eibishter through Simcha Shel Mitzvah, through bringing out the Pnimis and the Neshama of saying Eises HaTorah, Eises HaTfilah. And then there's the same thing you could have today also. There's a different type of Isafas that could exist today also, but a person can feel within himself that he doesn't feel Uvgolet, doesn't feel Eis doesn't feel a Chayis in Torah Mitzvah, doesn't feel meaning in his Limud Torah and Kiyama Mitzvah, doesn't feel meaning in his Yiddishkeit, doesn't feel a Varemkeit in his Yiddishkeit. And there's different, Chassidus gives the way, gives the advice, and gives the koyach for a person to connect, to find his life, to find his meaning in Torah Mitzvah and in learning and davening. But, and there's many areas that Chassidus gives a person methods and eitzes and different things for a person to have an improved Avodas Hashem. But the Rebbe speaks many times, specifically when you get to Chassidus Chabad, that Chassidus didn't come to deal with these specific problems, didn't come to deal with giving a person a Simcha Shel Mitzvah, or didn't come to deal with give a person meaning and chamimus in Avodas Hashem. Chassidus really came and introduced a totally new life, a totally new era, a new nefesh, a new neshama. The Alter Rebbe was a neshama chadasha. That's a new life, a totally new level of reality legamri. It's a different life, a life which is be'etzem more mufshit from all these pratis dikanis. We'll say l'chaim a little bit. We'll say a little l'chaim maybe. Maybe we'll sing a chassidus nigun, so we'll think over what I want to say over here. I'm sorry, l'chaim. A bit slow.
You're not very good, by the way.
Yeah?
100%. Big, very big, yeah, very bad. The didn't get it right.
Huh?
Show you what the Rebbe told him.
Chaim, l'chaim. Yeah, I'll just give an example, just to explain a certain point. Give an example of one Indian, which is exhausting Chassidus, just to give you a bissel geben zu verstehen, a bissel was handelt sich. I'm talking about the Indian of learning Chassidus. Take the mitzvah of Avos Yisrael, for example. So you have the regular idea, the way things are understood, benigle, bechitzenius, the way you understand it, pashtus. There's me, there's someone else, we're two distinct people, two different people, different characters, verschiedene Menschen. There's a mitzvah in Torah that you're supposed to love your fellow Jew, as if a mitzvah, Avos Yisrael, to love your fellow Jew. Liv haben atzvetin, that's the pashtus. You're one person, another person. You're supposed to love every yid. And al penigla, the mitzvah is, there's no real limit in the mitzvah. The mitzvah is to love every single yid. V'after recha kamecha. So a person could have a hard time fulfilling this mitzvah, let's say. I'm talking about even just to bring an example of a pashtus, of one mitzvah. A person could have a hard time fulfilling this mitzvah. You have a person, first of all, you could have, you don't appreciate the other person's qualities, two different types of people. He's one type of guy, you're a different type of person. How you're able to have avitin, to love him. You're totally two different style people, two different types of people. So how you say a person could have having a hard time being mekayim this mitzvah, let's say, having a hard time doing it. That person is different than him. That person could be maybe he feels that he's lower than him. Whatever the reason might be, he's having a hard time being a kind of the mitzvah. So you can look for an eitzah, you look for advice or a method how to be able to make kind of this mitzvah of Avos Yisrael via Zarf Shazan. The same thing is with mitzvahs Avos Hashem. I'm not going to say. I'm saying you can use example from all these mitzvahs: Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Emunas Hashem. The same exact issue. These are basic fundamental mitzvahs that a person could have a hard time fulfilling these mitzvahs. Avos Hashem, I mean, you don't need Avos Yisrael as a mitzvah which. Al Penigla, it's very hard to fulfill this mitzvah. And it's simple to love every yid. A person is attracted to certain things. That person's qualities I'm not attracted to. I have no I dislike those qualities. I dislike that person. How shall I kaim that mitzvah? Or the same thing, mitzvah Avos Hashem, Yiras Hashem, the Eit Kayetzah, Emunas Hashem. All these type of mitzvahs that a person can have a hard time fulfilling them. Let's see, a person needs an advice, let's say, to become a certain mitzvah. You need advice a certain Indian Avos Hashem. So what's the derech of Chassidus? You could have other drachim, let's say, if Musar is going to go to explain how it's harmful to live with hate and with dislikeness in your heart. If you're going to always be sensing the other person's differences that the other person has from you, and the fact that his personality and your personality you don't suit each other, so it's going to be harmful to the person. So it's a good eitzah to love the other person, to have a good, positive attitude towards him. Because if you can have a negative attitude towards him, it's probably going to be harmful for your life, let's say. That's the shit of Musa, to bring out how without doing the mitzvah, without doing these positive behaviors, the way they're written in Torah, it's probably going to be harmful for a person. It's not going to be, it's going to bring toxic energy in you if you're not going to have Avos Yisrael, let's say. But that doesn't actually change. That gives you an incentive to do the mitzvah. It doesn't actually change. It doesn't deal with the source of the issue, the reason why you're not able to account the mitzvah. You should have doesn't change your attitude towards the other person. It just gives you a certain push to be mekayim the mitzvah because of the negative side of not fulfilling it, let's say. And every mitzvah has this idea, kayetze b'zeh. Avos Hashem, because Avos Elam Hazeh tegnish, because if you can have Avos Elam Hazeh, that's mainly the shit of Muslim. You can have Avos Elam Hazeh, so it's going to bring you to, Elam Hazeh gets you to negative places. The kayetze b'zeh. What is Chassidus? What's the eitzah of Chassidus, let's say? How does Chassidus help out? Many people came to the Rebbe in Chassidus and complained that they have a hard time fulfilling the mitzvah of Avos Yisrael. So the Rebbe always told them to learn Perek Lamed Beis and Tanya, and to learn the mitzvahs of Avos Yisrael and Derech Mitzvah. Where's the Alter Rebbe explained there? Where's the Tzemach Tzedek explained there? I'm not going to go through long biurim here, but the point that the Tzemach Tzedek explains is that be'etzem, every yid, the most important factor of a person is his neshama is pnimis. And the chitzeni is gashmis, or is different. The fact that his personalities and the qualities that a person has, the external qualities a person has, that's tuffle. That's not an important factor altogether. That's not his mahus. That's not his pnimis. That's not what's important in a person. What matters to a person is every person has an neshama. He has his link to the Eibusher. He has nefesh elikis, and that's what's most important. The most important factor by a person, and that factor by a person, each person has it equally. This is not a regular type of eitzah to a problem. This eitzah only works if you totally change your perspective, totally change the plane of the way you look at the Indian. Benigla, you're one person, that person is another person, and you look at him the way a person appears, the way the Metzias appears in itself. Bechitzeni is begali is the person's midas, his midas, his character, and you have your character, and that's the way you evaluate another person. Chassidus comes as megala, first of all, a whole new element within a person. There's the neshama that he has, which has a whole different element, which is not nikr b'chitzenis. And Chassidus explains it, what the neshama is, and gives you the ability to identify this neshama in yourself, and to work on yourself, that this element in you, this dimension in you, which is the neshama, that should be the main, to realize, to understand that that's the most important dimension in your life. That's the only thing that really matters. And your levushim that you have, your character that you have, your personality that you have, the chitzeni is like a life that you have, that's only a tafel, that's just an emtzai, in order to express your neshama in a certain way. But your life, yourself, your I, is not your chitzenistic character, which is the regular natural self that you live with. There's a deeper dimension in yourself, a neshama, which that's your real self, that's the ikr, and the guf and the chitzenis is a tafel. And when a person gets to the recognition that there is a pnimius in himself, and he changes his mindset about himself, and then he's able to view that same way in the other person, that's an eitzah for avos. Then he's able to appreciate and have a love and have an avah towards another yid. But the eitzah of avos Yisrael l'chassidus only works. You can't stay in the same realm, the same understanding, in the same darga, the way it is in nigla. So if you stay, this person's going to have the same understanding the way he had of what a person is and how he evaluates himself, how he evaluates someone else. If he's going to stay with the same understanding, the chassidus is it's not. Chassidus can't be an eitzah for the Indian of Avos Yisrael. Chassidus is an eitzah for Avos Yisrael, let's say, but only if you elevate yourself and you bring into yourself the mode, the dimension that Chassidus speaks about. And in order to bring into yourself the dimension that Chassidus speaks about, that's an aveda for itself. You have to leave your way of viewing the Indian. You have to leave your way of understanding the whole idea and go into a whole different plane of the Sananda is the neshama b'chlal. Okay, we hear this idea of an neshama. We're used to the idea of an neshama. But I'm saying, let's say we wouldn't have been aware of this Indian. You're dealing with you're sensing you're living with your regular self the way you live with on a daily basis. And there you're struggling to mitzvah Avos Yisrael, let's say. And the Eitz of Chassidus only works first if you introduce yourself to a whole new dimension of self. What I'm saying is that in order for Chassidus to actually enrich a person's life and to help him out and to give him eitzes for things that he's taka in need of, which every person is taka in need of certain things. Say, someone needs an eitzah for a mitzvah of Yisrael, but that's just that's b'lashon nekiyah. That's a good example. Everybody of us has a problem with Avos Yisrael. I don't know if we care so much the fact that we're not being mekayim a mitzvah of but every person has problems which is in his chitzanis life. And chassidus is taka and eitzah, is a trufa, is a healing, is a remedy, which could actually help a person to take care of the issues and the chesronis and the heder achayis that the person has. But the only way that chassidus could actually accomplish this is if a person lets himself get into the world and to the life that chassidus is introducing. You can't stay in your same old dal damis and live your same experience in the past and use chassidus as eitzis to fix yourself. Someone's going to want to use Avos Yisrael, so when he's going to have an issue with someone else, he's going to think about the fact that he has a neshama. So that's not a real permanent change. It's not going to be a real eitzah for his Avos Yisrael. The Pali still is going to dislike the other person because he's still machshav and meyakar the chitzenis of the other person. The only way that chassidus is going to give a person an eitzah for his difficulties in the mitzvah Avos Yisrael is if he actually lets himself get introduced to the new dimension of what chassidus comes to explain a person. That's in every single area. I'm just bringing one example, but that's in every single area. But what I'm trying to bring out with this is the importance of learning a mimer, learning chassidus itself, learning a mimer chassidus. Because sometimes people, usually you sit down by a sefer, by a mimer chassidus, because you want something from it. Someone's looking for a little bit, wants to elevate himself a little bit. Some person wants a little bit more meaning. People have different motives why they're opening up a sefer chassidus, what they want from the mimer. The payal usually, it's not that a person is going to learn a mimer and it's going to automatically help him in the personal thing that he's looking for. So Zaltan Azach, it might be a better idea to maybe look in Pelish's for him. They might have more straightforward, more pashat advice for specific, distinct needs that a person has. Usually, a maimer chassidus, you have to masber an inyanim and erin saf shlifnat simtzum. This inyan, that inyan, it doesn't deal directly with the issues that you're coming to, that you're interested, it's not addressing your problem, the reason why you're looking up at the sefer. But the MS is that the reason why is because the eitzes of chassidus anishkin, they're not regular eitzes. It's elevating a person and bringing him a whole deeper element to his life. And when you're in touch, when you're in tune to this deeper element of your life, to your neshama, then things are dealt with in a whole different ofen. And the only way for a person to introduce himself to a deeper dimension of himself, and to a deeper akara of what the world around him is, what Torah mitzvah is, what his mitzvah is by learning and by forgetting for a few minutes your own personal things that you're dealing with, and to focus on, to concentrate on the inyana that the Maimer is saying. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. Can't get there unless you get into the Indian. But that's not the emes way of fixing the problem. The Polish way. It's a bandit. It's not a shini plea. Wie viel Segen ist das? He's not coming. It's supposed to be half an hour. I made there twice. I didn't have this. When's Guppin coming?
You did a few minutes. You did a very good job. Keep it up. You did a very good job. Schneider, good job? Schneider said he did a good job.
doesn't make a difference.
Take whatever you
I'm not saying that. Ganz in it. Come in on them. He there's also.
This is the chiddush we're talking about. And the next page after that. So all Kislev of Kiddush. By the way, beautiful story. Good story, by the way. Where do you read it?
Should I write a book?
Absolutely. Is it print anywhere?
It's very difficult to find.
Really?
I didn't see it. Maybe it's an afternoon
Rabbi Kaplen is coming? Your father's coming, Rabbi Kaplen?
Yeah.
He's coming?
Traffic. A lot of traffic.
That's to speak craft hour.
Yeah,
L'chaim.
Fine. Look up some good bar. Good joke.
Yeah, the MS says that there's common yonim in the Indian.
Back to basics.
A person.
Shatten.
Kind of shot. Yeah, so that common yonim in them. But the point of the matter is there's 2 points here that's negate to understand. I mean, this is Bavush Tamais. Everybody knows the story with Al Rebbe and Reb Chaikel Amdurer. You're aware of the story, yeah? With Reb Chaikel Amdurer with his Talmud, the 2 Chaverim.
No, we're not.
They didn't hear the story.
No.
Maybe the Mais it's finished.
Who's the nice?
You don't know the story. Akopanim. This is a famous story. We'll just say the story. Just Sigavez. Have a person, please. Sigavez. There was the Al Rebbe at a Chaver. What are the Talmidim at the Magid? His name was Reb Chaikel Amdurer. Which should actually, I think the Rebbe reads in the Rishimis that he was from the Talmidei Amagid, which was very close to the Alter Rebbe, and he had Mesiras Nefesh with the Alter Rebbe. So you do that certain Talmidei Amagid didn't, there was certain, some of them, gehalten the Alter Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe wasn't, and there was certain Talmidei Amagid which were dedicated to the Alter Rebbe, and they helped him, and they took, so it says that when he get to Reb Chaikel Amdurer, that he had Mesiras Nefesh with the Alter Rebbe. This is what it says, I think, in the Rishimis. So he was one of the Talmidei Amagid with Shat Chassidim, and there happened to be one of the Alter Rebbe's Talmidim and one of Reb Chaikel Amdurer's Talmidim were very good friends, best friends. One of the Chassidim was a Chassid of the Alter Rebbe, and his friend was a very close friend, lived in the same town, which was the Chassid of Reb Chaikel Amdurer. Reb Chaikel Amdurer had the shit of the other Talmidei Amagid, which was Tzaddik Abanasi Yechaya. Tzaddik Abanasi Yechaya means, B'chlal, this is just a simple thing, which is to get to understand, that B'chlalis, the ufta of Hashem, the ufta of Gili Teres Achsidis was to megala the pnimius. Regularly, the average person, regular people like us, we live with the external face of things, with the chitzanis of the Indian. This is the part of the reality that we experience is the chitzanis part of the reality. the goof of the Inyan. The goof and the chitzenis of the Inyan. The Baal Shem Tov was megala, and it was megala in a way that even a regular person is able to sense it and to relate it, is the neshama of an Inyan, the neshama of a Yid. He brought out certain, the neshama of an Inyan. Now, who has access to neshama? Who's able to, a regular person is not able to have access to neshama. A person has, we don't have the kalim for neshama. We're regular people. We're in touch with the regular physical reality that we're living with. The neshama of Inyan, which that's what the Baal Shem Tov was megala, the pnimius of Yid, the pnimius of Welt, the neshama of Torah, so that is able to be, only tzaddikim, people which have edel hecher and neshamas and edel gufim, they're able to relate, and they're able to live with neshama in yanim. And through the fact that a chassid was connected to the tzaddik, he experienced, he was in the sviv of the tzaddik, he spent time around him. So the ufta of the Baal Shem Tov was that if you were around the tzaddik, you were able to be affected by the kedusha of the tzaddik. But it's not that you alone were able to experience the neshama life in yourself. By you seeing the tzaddik praving his seder aveda, that was able to have an effect on you to see and to feel a deeper level of reality. But not that you didn't have the keches and the chush and the experience, like someone sees v'ayid davin mit ashtarka aveda. So you don't have the ability to have him ba'aveda the way that yid davins. Someone davin as if it's dav shezayin. So if you watch him davening, you experience him davening, it has an effect on you. But it's not that, but you don't have the ability to tap into the reality that he's living in. So al derech zeh the shit of the Baal Shem Tov, which is megala neshama. But in order to connect to the neshama, in order to connect to the gilui teres achidus of the Baal Shem Tov, that was dafka through tzaddik v'manasi yechaye. You had to spend time around the tzaddik, far inside tzaddik, you misbattle that tzaddik, and by you being misbattled to him, that gave you the ability to have a shaykhas, to be uvgoleft, and to have the chayes and the slavos as a reishim of the aved of the tzaddik. Not that you were able to tap into the neshama itself. The tzaddik, he had a shaykhas to the neshama. Be'emet golechten zayin neshama. The pnimius of Elokus, the pnimius of Torah, the pnimius of Welt, his own neshama, and by the chassid being bottled to the tzaddik, giving maimed to the tzaddik, whatever the zdarim were, he was able to be affected by the kedusha of the tzaddik. That's something which has just slipped my mind, but something kasha to this. But that's the tzaddik v'nasi yechayim, and that's happy pashtus in order to connect to a neshama, to any which is higher than mitzias, higher than guf, in primi, in neshama. So that's not everybody's able to access it. I reminded myself. There's a part of the Frierdiker Rebbe actually that he says. I think it's in the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe says that the Baal Shem Tov had been gedarved zen. In order to be affected by the Baal Shem Tov, you just had to see him. But gedarved zen. The Magid, so Magid had been gedarved farn. In order to be affected by the Magid, you had to travel to the Magid. Just seeing the Magid, that wasn't enough for a person to have a akara, to be affected by the Elokus and by the kedusha of the Magid, of the Magid. You had to travel to him. You had to have a certain tnuah of leaving yourself, to be misbattled to him in order to have an effect on him. Friedrich says that the Rebbe had been gedarf verstehen. The Alter Rebbe wasn't enough to see him. It wasn't enough to travel to him. The Rebbe had been gedarf verstehen. That's a different idea. The Alter Rebbe, you had to already understand him. It wasn't enough to see him or to travel to him. You had to already understand him. That's Abazundarino. But that's Tzaddik v'nasi yechayeh. So that was a B'chai Kalam Dur. He was a Talmud of the Talmidei Amagid, and that's the way that was a Seder Aveda. So he gave his chassid the ganze Seder Aveda, how to keep in the experience, the main connection to the course that the Chassidim had was by actually traveling to the Magid, by being around the Daldamas of the Magid, and that, or being around the Rebbes, whoever they were connected to. Then they would go back to their Daldamas, so they kept their chayas and the slavas that they had while they were in the Sviva, they were spending time around their Rebbes. That was the Talmidei Amagid. Then there was the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe got zayin shit in chinuch, what he told the Chassidim to do, that his adrache, what he wanted them to do, to learn Chassidus every day, and to try to me'ach sha'at alid. The Alter Rebbe's eitz in tanya, me'ach sha'at alid, to misbenin in the Maimer, and to try to understand the Maimer, and to internalize it, and to process it in your brain. That's me'ach sha'at alid. So this was two Talmidim, two very good friends. One of them was a Mechonech of Reb Chai Kalam Durer. One of them was a Mechon. He did the Seder Aveda that his Rebbe demanded from him. One of them was the Alter Rebbe's Mechonech, and he did the Seder Aveda that the Alter Rebbe had gemont from him. And as they given, and this Chassid Alter Rebbe realized that when they used to go to shul, they used to daven in the same shul, daven in the same place. So he realized that his chaver goes to shul and yeder tog brenter mit afayir. Every day has the same chayes and the same islavos. Daven mit akoch, mekayim mitzvos with chayes, and he had there was no ups and downs, and no, back, someone goes back on something, or there was no struggling, huh? Well, I'm saying someone that you feel like you're doing progress, and then you feel like you're you fall back. Not regress, whatever, okay. Backing, whatever it is. Someone's going, he was working on himself, let's say. So one day he had a shtickle netiyah tolukus. Then the next day or 2 days later, he was back to square one. He was up and down. So he and his friend was always a consistent chayes in his slavas and his avos Hashem. He was successful. The chinuch of Reb Chaim Lamduras. The Alter Rebbe's chassid sees that his friend's chinuch was much more effective and much more consistent than the chinuch that Alter Rebbe was giving him. And he decided to confront Alter Rebbe. He told Alter Rebbe himself. He told Alter Rebbe that sein chaver kommt in shul, Reb Chaim Lamduras Talmud, and jeder Tag brennt wie a fire. Every day is a chayes v'slavas and a chayes raven is davening. And him is nicht das. Amal geht es ja, amal geht es nicht. And even when it does go, kam was a day that it goes, the next day it's back to square one. As Yeter gesagt, the Alter Rebbe was listened out to this chassid's complaint. The Alter Rebbe was sich verdweket. And the Alter Rebbe said, the chassid was in Zvat, when he told the Alter Rebbe that his friend is davening with the chayes and the slavas, he said, as brennt, his chaver brennt jeden Tag beim Davening. So the Alter Rebbe said, brennt, Reb Chaim Lamdurer brennt in him. That's the Alter Rebbe said. He's burning, Reb Chaim Lamdurer is burning in him. So I don't remember the Alter Rebbe's lashon, but the point was that what the Alter Rebbe said was that there's a big difference between, you say, someone asked me before when you get to, you asked me, Polish Chassidus and Chabad Chassidus. The Eitzah for everything is, Chitzeni is the guf itself, living reality, only mitzvah the Chitzenius of the Indian, brings problems. Let's say, I just said before, just a simple dogma without going into any major pratim, is the mitzvah Avos Yisrael. If you're just experiencing reality, the guf of an Indian, so the mitzvah Avos Yisrael, you can have difficulty fulfilling the mitzvah. Well, the Eitz is neshama. You're making mitzvah the neshama. All yidden are mitzvah the pnimius of a yid. All yidden are one. All yidden are the same. But the average person, we don't have the ability to. We don't have access to the neshama. We can't relate to the neshama. The neshama is a higher type of with the chamisha chushim of the guf. You can't feel the neshama. It's a hecher a certain mitzvahs. It's a pnimius the keinian. And the part of the neshama which the gabi that darga all yidden are one. That's the pshitas of the neshama. The etzem neshama. That's a very high. That's a high darga. So how is the Yid able to access and able to live his life and to actually conduct himself, to feel the neshama attitude on a daily basis? So there's one Eitzah, was the Eitzah of Talmidei HaMagid, the Tzaddik of Nasi Yechaya. By the Tzaddik, the neshama was alive. His guf was going to Eiz Geidel to guf, and the neshama was bizgalus in his guf. And if you were connected to him, you were bottled to him, whatever the methods were, so you were able to live also a life on a higher plane. But and even that, you have Bechitzenius, I'm saying even in... Okay, I'm again just bringing the Gemara. So that's the call is the Kenyan. The Alter Rebbe's word was not that a person should connect to that the person in his, even though you stay with your regular natural self, your regular understanding, your regular seichel amidus, but there in the dimension of the neshama should actually be understood and become a part of a person's natural self. Should be a part of his seichel, be a part of his midas. The pnimius of the neshama, the inyana, the way they are, it's at pnimius, the pnimius of a lukus, the pnimius of the neshama, that dimension of life shouldn't stay mufshitik ezach, which is higher than the reach and higher than the tfisa of the person. But it should be a raptrag and these none of the neshama and seichel and midas, that a person in his rational understanding, his brain, his mindset, his understanding, his natural self should become That's a different idea. The Alter Rebbe said this. The Schaver over there, that's Chaim Chaikel Brentene. It's not that he has a shaykhs. His senses didn't change. His seichel midas didn't change. His natural self stayed the same natural self. He's just connected to something. He's connected to a person, which is in tune to a deeper reality. And since he's connected to him, so he's bottled to him, so that has an effect on him. But it's not that his senses itself, his seichel midas, his self changed. What the Alter Rebbe wanted is that in a person's regular understanding, his mayach, and a person's regular basic mayach, and his lave, and a person's regular natural self, there, the inyanim of primis, the inyanim of neshama should become chayder, which a pashas, what it means is, just take the dogma of the mitzvah of Yisrael that I said before, so the Alter Rebbe explains that the person should understand what type of muhus is the neshama. The person should understand it, and the person should have a feeling through, when you understand the concept of the neshama, the Alter Rebbe gives biyurim and gives oisius, what type of life the neshama, what type of muhus the neshama is. The Alter Rebbe gives oisius for it. In the other Talmidei HaMagid, in Chassidus Peilen, they weren't given oisius when you get to the neshama, because the neshama wasn't supposed to be an Indian that you deal with. It's not a concept. The neshama is not a concept that a person has to understand and bring into Asius. The tzaddik lives the neshama, and the chassid is bottled to the tzaddik, is connected to the tzaddik. But mainly, the tzaddik's neshama life has an effect on the chassid. So there's no need to explain in seichodik terms, what type of mitzvah the neshama is. The Alter Rebbe's point was that in a person's regular self-life, in a person's regular natural self, in his mayach, in his leiv, there you should understand, and his attitude should actually change. His mindset should change based on the inyanim, the way they are b'pnimis. These, what the mitzvahs of a yid is mitzat neshmasa, that a yid's be'etzem one with the Eibusher. These inyanim that Rebbe give oisis for them, made them concepts in seichel, they're able to understand them. That's the first thing. Made them a concept, an idea. It's not just if you're able to access the neshama, you're able to live the neshama, you have it. And if you're not able to live a neshama life, you don't have it. He explained them in words. He gave them terms. He made them concepts. So once the Alter Rebbe gave these primis de kinyanim, he gave them asis, he made them ideas, he made them terms, you're able to learn about it and to relate it. And the point wasn't just to learn the chitzenis de terms. The point was that Alter Rebbe was malvish these inyanim in seichel in a way that you should be able to relate it and actually make it a part of your natural self-taka. So then, that's the emesa eitzah. Person's having a hard time with Avos Yisrael, let's say. So the Alter Rebbe's, the Uftoch Chassidus Chabad is that the Inyana, the way they are bepnimi, is that a Yid, Iker Mitzvus is the Shama. And that a Yid, Kol Yisrael, Be'etzem are one Muhus. We're all Mushrashim Ba'avaya Echad. To understand what it means Avaya Echad, what it means that a Yid is Mushish in Avaya Echad. To actually first understand what's the pshat that all Yidden are really one. And to understand that all other Inyana besides for this Avaya Echad, this Chitzenis, is Tafel. Taka exists. I have my character, he has his character. But that's tough. To actually sense that it's a tuffle. To be a margish that it's a tuffle. To understand that it's a tuffle. That's the... And I've done that from Pashat left to Pashat learn. And it's not enough to learn a maimer that deals with the thing that you want. You learn a maimer that deals with the issue that you're interested in knowing. That you're dealing with the issue there is no maimer like that. That only deals with the issue that you want to be, that you want to understand. The maimer is introducing Bechlal Elikus in Oasis and in terms that a person should be able to relate it. When a person gets involved, it's all one world, the world of Chassidus. All one world being Megala, the Pshitas of Elikus, and the truth of Elikus, the truth of a Yid, and the Pnimis of Torah in Oasis and in Musagim, in terms and in ideas that we should be able to understand and to relate to them. So every Imam is being Mekar of Elikus with Oasis, with Musagim, with ideas, with concepts. They should be able to relate to Elikus. And once we're able to understand it and have a little sense in that reality, automatically a person's whole life changes and his whole attitude and everything changes. Once the Pnimi Yisa'inyin is a part of your Musagim, it changes everything. I'm not sure what time it is, but he was supposed to, I don't know if there's a trick, I'm not sure what's the... He's coming or he's not coming?
He's coming.
Okay, L'chaim. Huh? I was supposed to speak for 20 minutes.
Short side we bargained for.
Short side. Yours, Archie? What's your name? Where is it? L'chaim. Huh? Der Elam versteht, was man redt, oder... You have to understand, you just know this, that I was saying, I don't know anybody over here, but I know a couple of people here, but you should just know that you're doing a light, starting a little bit, officially, you're starting to hit a little bit real life. So that's, if you don't know this now, you realize this one day, that Chassidus is real, it's something which is negate to real life. Actually, the Rebbe Rashab writes in the Mavi to the Ayem Yom, the Arayfer, the Rebbe calls the letter that he put in the beginning, the Arayfer to the Ayem Yom. So the Rebbe Rashab writes there that the Aveda Vitas Kislev is the Ratzin v'chefetz pnimi from the Kudas Atzmi Yisalev, Azam Yisar. But the point is, whether you can be this Ratzin pnimi min Kudas Pnimi Yisalev, but the point is that Chassidus is something that's negea to the very essence, to the nakuda of the where the nakuda of the person is, where your reality is, where do you place where's your mahus? If you're living the basic chitzenis, the geshel of reality, the regular world that everybody else lives, and the regular self that everybody else experiences, and that's taka where you're always going to experience, or the Alter Rebbe introduced, and there's issues there. There's al-karchach, there's going to be problems. The chitzenis, the world if it's detached from its pnimius, because one of the things that Alter Rebbe was Megala Take, yeah, it's all lange in Yonam, but Alter Rebbe, what Megala event that the Eibishter, which is Ein Seif, is the pnimius of the reality itself. It's not something else. It's not a different world. That still is not a fourth world. That's the true essence. That's the true mahus. That's the true identity of the chitzonistic world that we're experiencing. So if you detach the pnimius from the chitzonis doesn't function normally. If you're living with the external part of things, with only the external part of reality, with the external part of yourself, you're detached from the pnimius of your metzias itself. So there's going to be issues al karcha. I'm just bringing the chitzonistic dugma of mitzvah avos Yisrael, but there's going to be issues because it's not shaykh be'efanacha. Because if the chitzonis is detached from its pnimius, that itself is problematic, and that makes problems. That's the machine is not functioning normally. So the Alter Rebbe gave us the ability to actually live with, to understand, first of all, to bring understanding is not just about intellectual understanding, to understand something. It's to bring the inyanim of pnimius alokos, the inyanim of the sham, inyanim of pnimius, to bring them in asias and terms and musag, and that we were able to relate to. The seichel is just a method to bring the inyanim into your life. That's the whole. It's not about seichel. It's not about understanding it. Not Chabad is about understanding alokos. It's a way to bring alokos to a person, in a way for you to relate and the pnimius should become a part of your life. So we're using Eisius and Monachim of Seichel in order to bring the Inyan to your life. I mean, this is a famous mashal. The Bia likes chazing this mashal always. That, for example, Muslims between the way Chsidim say Chsidis and the way the Rabbeim speak Chsidis. They have a real artist. You have someone that knows how to copy someone else's art. That's not a real artist is that he's able to be mitzayer an experience, to take an experience and to bring it down like someone that knows that it has an art in the Guinness. So he knows how to translate the feeling in a song. So it's not that he knows how to make lyrics that should reflect the feeling. He knows how to translate. The true art is he knows how to translate the feeling in a song. He knows how to translate a nafshizdik experience in a piece of art. So the Rabbeim is nicht etwas that they're meretep is oisius. The Alter Rebbe is giving us a way to connect to the Inyan through oisius. Through musagim and through oisius, is giving us a method to connect to the Inyan, to connect to Lakos, to connect to the pnimius of what a yid is and what the reality of the world is. And once this pnimius and this Lakos is something that we actually implant a little bit in our life, we connect with it a little bit, so it changes the person's entire life. It makes him a different samach alz be'efen acher. And in order for a person to connect, you have to have a little patience. There's no other way. You have to push it, learn. Extensive learning, spend time every single day, an hour and a half, and patiently and calmly. So learn it, and slowly you tap into today you have tapes and things, people have many different people, you could listen to whoever you want. But the point is, I just want to mention this, just that same thing they say, the Gemara with the art school sometimes, people have a hard time learning Gemara, let's say. It could be even most chitzanis, they never got really the gist of how Gemara works. And they use art scroll, but if you just use art scroll just as a way that the art scroll teaches you, so you're never really going to have a real feel of what Gemara is, and you're never really going to grow in your Havana and learning. That's you have to use art scroll or wherever any Sifrei Ezer, there's Sifrei Ezer. It's ways for you to tap into the Inyan. You listen to Sheikh Chassidus, so it's very easy. A Maimer Chassidus is a hard thing to learn. Yeah, that's something. Sfiris, Inyan, Madregas. You're coming from you woke up in the morning, you drank a coffee, you're eating cake. To get or start tapping into the Inyan that the Maimer is speaking about, it's a tough thing. It's not an easy thing. It's an Iberlebenish. You're not in that world altogether. So it's an easy thing. People get used to listening to Ashir. So you're learning Chassidus, listen to Ashir, but you never really get to feel. You're never really getting the Inyan because you're never really learning yourself. You're never really working over the Inyan yourself. You're never really processing a Maimer. I mean, there's many advantages. But I'm talking about even advantages that you could feel in taking a Maimer Chassidus by yourself without the headphones or whatever. A voice clapping in your ear, and actually trying to learn the Maimer. So of course, person needs help to learn the Maimer. You can't start opening up a Sefer Chassidus unless you have mamish, you have a chush in that, and to sit and to work again and again. Rather, you're going to get somewhere just with looking at the Sefer, looking at the Maimer again and again. But it's good to hear a shir, a hemshech, a Maimer doesn't make a difference, but never to rely just on the shir that you're hearing. Only use a shir to tap into the Inyan and to later learn the Maimer itself. You never learn a Maimer just by hearing a shir. You learn a Maimer, listen to the shir, and then you go weiter. That way of learning a Maimer, the Maimer never entered your system. as a gaitis, because you were passive while you were learning it. You're just listening to the shir. That's a very passive. Your mind is not working at all. You're just letting information flow through your system, and the maimer never really gets registered in your mitzias, and it doesn't have the same effect. You can listen to a shir in order for it to give you the push to later sit down by the sefer by yourself without listening to the shir, and to sit and learn the maimer, clap in the ivre, uptouch in the ivre farzich af Yiddish, or English, whatever language is good for you, and to think over the concept that's saying over here, and to try to spend time. It takes a little time. You spend an hour and a half a day, an hour in the morning. You have a lot of time. Spend an hour in the morning. Gahal b'shal by nacht. Learn to maimer chassidus. It's going to, for sure, have a very, very good, a lot of good advantages for yourself. You should know. It's going to make a lot of changes in your life. It's going to help you very, very much. But I'm just trying to say this point, that falein learning. There's no other eitzah. You have to take a maimer chassidus by yourself, quietly, after you listen to the shir or whatever it is, you want to give you to tap into the inyanim, or you read a sefer ezer, a translation or a beer. But later you take the maimer on your own and you clap through the Eis Harav itself. It's a whole different inyan. And then you sense a little bit the Eis Divrei Harav itself. You can have your own little appreciation of Divrei Harav. So it's a whole different contact with the inyan. Then you're able to feel the inyan. Omedar verstaan in a ständige Eifen. Anyway, l'chaim. Huh? It's coming?
It's coming.
Oh, okay, good. The Rebbe used to say a mashal, by the way, that it's all, yeah. Okay, good. Rabbi, he used to say a mashal, that the doctor once told someone that he's very, very skinny, he has to gain weight. But, so he told him he has to eat. So this guy went to the mirror, and he put a pickle he put food into his stomach, and he wanted to see if it's going to grow, and he didn't see that it grows. So maybe he went back to the doctor, and he didn't. People, you learn. It's not that you learn one maimer, not you start sensing yourself and putting the thermostat if something's happening or not. You have to get involved a little bit, and it's a little bit work, but it's worthwhile work, and that's the only way that chassidus could have an effect and become part of your life. There's no other way. The only way for chassidus to have an effect on you is if it becomes part of your life. You can't just use. You have to take the likutei Tanya is likutei eitzes. Take the likutei eitzes of Tanya. It's Gaitish, says it. There's the whole Tanya. There's the beginning. There's the end. There's the Gemara. A couple of kashas in the Gemara. How is that eitzes in your life? No one knows. The questions on the Gemara or biyurim in different Mamari Azar eitzes in your life. You can't detach the eitzes of the Tanya from the etzem sefer Tanya, from the chassidus and the lukus that the Alter Rebbe is introducing. Because the eitzes the Alter Rebbe is giving is to live with your pnimis. That's the basic eitzah. That there's a pnimis in the chitzenius. It's not that you can live the chitzenius dika life, and there's eitzes for your chitzenius dika life. The eitzah is that there's a pnimius to the chitzenius. You're going to stay the chitzenius dika life that you're living in, but you should be aware of the inner chord that's in that chitzenius. There's a pnimius dika. There's a certain expression of a lukus in your chitzenius dika life, and to tap into this pnimius, you have to learn chassidus. Pashat kipshut. You have to learn chassidus, and that's the only way. And it's limud chassidus. Pshutik hamashmai. You have to learn, and it's not easy to learn. You have to get in touch a little bit with divrei harav. I'm leaving soon, so I'm just chaparai nacha ma'aseh. But this is actually a good story. I'm not staying here for a long time. L'chaim. Okay. So it's like Shmaka Ma'aseh. Maybe they'll know the story with the Tata send the runners that they can't put the Ma'aseh. Okay, you can sing it again. Yeah. Okay, no one's singing again. That's on the Ma'aseh. Ay 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 yeah.
schus das
But he's coming soon. Where is he? He got schlepped? Where is he going to come in?
Benji went.
How do you know?
Farbrengen wants you at this Kislev in Lakewood. You ever Farbrengen in Lakewood? I don't know if she is.
Could be a Farbrengen was there. It's good, I remember. No, Thomas, I think I was there. People think sometimes that learn Chassidus about the Erein Seif, Dargis, Keser, and Yonim, Atzmos, Chveis, things that are not. I'm not dealing with these. What do I have to know about these Psgresa Zachen, Erein Seif, and Yonim? How do these things enrich the life that I'm living? It has nothing to do with me. This is not a new point. Just what I'm saying before. The Nekuda Dal Trebe's Eitze is that Ein Seif and the Eibishter is not to some lofty idea somewhere in the Lukus. That is the pnimius of the life that we're living. The pnimius of the life that we're living is Ein Seif. There's no word in Chassidus that's coming to discuss. Chassidus is not Kabbalah. Kabbalah came to deal with the mystery, the the different higher planes that there are in reality where the world evolved from. Okay, so Zana Kapara. Maybe it's a similar that I should leave Taka. Anyway, I heard I remember who I heard from. I actually do remember who I heard from. That Kfar Chabad, the birds, a lot of birds near the yeshiva, and they don't control where they wo sie machen. So you have this bacher, sometimes actually the birds fly around in Zal. You had this bacher that down in Baveta Pesach weighs 4 or 5 hours, and then there was be a bird that would give a little bit, send his poop on the cup from the bacher. It would give him a, I'll go upon him. But we don't have these problems. We don't. But I'll go upon him. What was I saying before? So there's no word in Chassidus which is tam coming to explain some Sefer Yitzir or how the world is created, the Psinyana from Erein Sof. Chassidus is coming to connect a person and to make him be aware of, to discover to him the pnimius of his life, the pnimius of the world that he's living. Not on higher level where the world came from. We're not dealing with where the world came from. We're dealing with what's the pnimius of the life that you're living. The pnimius of the world that we're living. The pnimius of this. And in order to, the pnimius of this world is the Eibusher himself. That's the pnimius of the life that we're living. It's hard for us to understand it, but that's what we have to, that's why there's so many Biurim Chassidus to explain that. It would be easy to explain that the Eibusher created the world. Creator doesn't mean that he's the pnimius and he's the inner core of the life that we're experiencing. We want to bring out that the life that we're experiencing, the challenges that a person has, the world that you're living in, that's all an expression of the Eibusher himself. That's really what Chassidus came to bring, to Megale Eined Malvade, that the life that we're living is an expression of the Ein Sof of the Eibusher himself. That's the starker word, that's an emes word. That the world that we're living in, the life that we're living, the Metzias of a Yid, das ist ein Zach mit Atzmus und Mahus ein Sof Baruch Hu. This is exactly the way it is. Exactly the way it is. The Pnimius Atzmus ein Sof Baruch Hu, this is the Pnimius of our Metzias. And to explain it, to explain how in the difficulties of a person's life and the pratim of a person's life, the pratim of the world that we're living, in these pratim and in this Metzias, is really an expression of the Eibusher himself. That's I'm verstehen. Elukus l'chor is pshitis, elukus is ein Sof, and the world that we're living in is pratim, is gvol, is tzir. How is it that an Eibusher which is ein Sof could be the pnimius of a divided and a distinct and a tzir and a gvoldik world? You have to explain. There's Eretz, there's Kalim, there's the Metzias of Kalim, which there's division of there, no division of there. That's all to explain how the pnimius and the ein Sof of the Eibusher is expressed within the life that we're living. But Chassidus does not verstehen, das darf man lernen und verstehen. But Chassidus is not here to explain what was the method that the Eibusher created the world. We don't care about that. When Chassidus asks the question, how is it the Eibusher is ein Sof, so how is there gvul? We're not coming to explain, it's a theoretical question. The world is gvul, how did the Eibusher make it if he's pshittis? The question is, if the world is divided, the world is limited, so how could we relate to pshittis? How could we connect to pshittis? How is this an expression of ein Sof? Can you use the same language of the Sprach that says in Eitz Chaim? But it means we're trying to bring out something totally different. And the siman is that in Kislev Kabbalah we don't deal with Nefesh Bahamas, Nefesh Elikis, and Teirei Mitzvahs B'chad HaMachta. We deal with Seder Shtalshalos. And Chassidus is speaking about how you speak about Ein Sof, and then the next line of Amr will be that through Teirei Mitzvahs you connect with Ein Sof. We're not coming to, and the different pratim and mitzvahs is the musik of Kalim. I'm not going to go into the Biyurim, but Akapana, the point I'm trying to bring out is that the Alter Rebbe's Nekudas HaEitz in Tanya, Ki Karev Elecha Davar Ma'ed. What's the Alter Rebbe's answer? Karev Elecha Davar Ma'ed. It's very close to you. The Rebbe's Madrish, Karev Elecha, the Alter Rebbe says Karev Elecha Davar Ma'ed. Ma'ed means very, Torah says the word very. If it's possible that Elokus is closer, if there's anything that could be closer to you, then Elokus is not Karev Ma'ed. Karev Ma'ed means that it's very close. You can't imagine something closer to you than Adavar Hazeh, than Elokus. How's that possible? So the Alter is going to give 100 explanations how Me'ach Shatel Alev, this beer, that beer, which you have to understand this beer. But it says, the Alter is coming to explain how Elokus is Karev Ma'ed, very close. Very close, you can't imagine something closer than Elokus. The answer is that the Alter Rebbe's point is that Elokus, that's the Pnimius, that's the Pnimius. That's the Mahus of the life that you're living. That's the Pnimius. Your Neshama is not some level in you. That's the core behind everything that's going on in your system. Wir müssen also nicht verstehen. Eine von der the famous Kasha in Chassidus that how could you have a mitzvah of Haftas Shama Lekech? How could they say you should love the Eibishter, you should love a Lukus? What if I don't love the Eibishter? You can't tell a person, you can't command you to love someone. If I'm interested in him, I like the traits that he has, so then I love him without you telling me. And if I don't love him, so then the tzivi is not going to help. Tzivi cannot change a feeling or an attitude that a person has in his nefesh. Because that a mitzvah avos Hashem. The Rebbe answers 100 times in the Torah that's why he said before Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. When you understand Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, it's not possible that you shouldn't love him. That's how the Rebbe says a couple of times. If you're going to be mizben Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, bevada you're going to come to v'ahavta. That's how the Rebbe's lashon in the Torah a couple of times. If you're going to think, if you're going to understand Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, bevada you'll for sure love the Eibishter. What does that mean? Well, the basic answer is when you'll understand that a lukus, that's the pnimius of everything. That's the pnimius of your life, then you're one with it. You are one with it. That is who you are. What's this? The idea of love is the link, the connection between two things, the unity of two things. That everything is all about a lukus, that you understand. You'll shma, so you'll understand that your life is really is one and an expression of the Eibishter himself. Automatically, v'ahavta. We just don't understand their beer, but the point is that Chassidus gave us the kelim to understand and to feel and to live with a pnimi is the inyan, with the inyan pnimi, which is something which is the basic, they say the vein that connects everything together, the vein which is the core which brought everything into being, which is the reason why everything is here, and gives meaning behind everything that's going on, brings out the unity of everything that's going on within a person himself, within the world around him. I mean, within Yiddishkeit, within everything. But that pnimius, you can't stay in the world of the chitzonius and live off the pnimius. Of course, there are certain things, even without learning chassidus, that the Alter Rebbe and the Rabbeim implanted within the universe itself. That's a davar barer. But in order for a person to actually use out and to live with the pnimius and should actually help him, he has to introduce them into his life. That's through limud, that's through understanding, that's through bringing them into him. Now, to learn it, you have to learn. It's this process to learn. It's like a process. And there is the Rebbe said by Farbrengen was that when it comes to limud and understanding, no one understands everything. The größte Mensch, keiner weiß nicht alles. Und ein bisschen verstehen alle. Everybody understands something. So really, everybody's equal. Der versteht mehr, versteht weniger. It's just that a person should have the seichel and the musagim are just a way, it's just a method for you to tap into the topic, to the idea. We're not interested in you understanding the inyan. It's not about the understandings. It's not about the rayas and the echrechim. The Alter Rebbe used seichel as a method to connect you with an inyan. The way it's art. The art is there as a method that you should experience the experience that the artist experienced. So you had a certain feeling, a certain experience. He was malbashir in a niggin, malbashir in art. So if you get all the intricacies how the art works, it's not important. The point is to get some feel of the experience that he invested in the art. And that everybody can have some feel, some little understanding to tap in a little bit into the inyan that Alter Rebbe is bringing out through the terms that he's saying. So if you're going to get exactly all the chachma of the art, that no one gets the whole chachma of the art. It's a seichel aliki. But to connect with the energy that's within the art, the experience that the person invested in the art, that anybody is able to experience that. Anybody is able to have some tap in a little bit into the chayas, into the air that's there, and that little chay, that little pnimius, brings a whole different dimension to a person's life. The little understanding that a person has, the little air that you bring into yourself, will bring in a whole new life in your system, a whole new life, and a whole new perspective in your life. And that's Mekanish Mishar and the Mekanish Mishar and the Geidel Inyan. Yesh Harbim ala daber al zeh, but be'emes, I don't know anybody that's sitting here, and I'm not mamish the mashpia koli that could verbring for the whole Das Achsidim. But does that mean Zacharai trachten in them? But I wanted to tell you before a story actually. My second is Zagan Almal. L'chaim. So it's a Maisel. This is a good Maisel. This is a Kadai's story a little bit. That so a kurza Maisel, but it's an Negedig story. It's connected to the point that I'm saying, but this is an important story. As to given a Yid, a Chassid of the Tzemach Tzedek, of the Tzemach Tzedek actually, a very posh Yid. Tzemach Tzedek told him once that he should learn in Yechidus. Tzemach Tzedek told him he should learn the Tzena Orena. Tzena Orena was the Tanakh of Yiddish. He should learn Tanakh of Yiddish. It's a famous story, Kovi. To learn the Tanakh of Yiddish. And it's Mekayim given. A Posh the Yid, Tzemach Tzedek told him he should learn the Tzena Orena. He should have a Kviyas Midi and B'yemi to learn Tanakh in Yiddish. Hat gelernt Tanakh of Yiddish. By he had a son, and the son passed away. And he learned the story with Elisha and the Isha Shunamis. That Isha Shunamis is a very interesting Maisa you should know. The Maisa with the Isha Shunamis, it was after Parshas Chaysara. No? Told us Chaysara. Huh? Vayetze. Huh? Vayera. That's not Isha Achas. That's Chaysara. Vayera. So there, it's an interesting story, by the way. Isha Shunamis that she Zerach Siddish Indian over there that she made for Elisha, Aliyah. He made for him a special room. She didn't ask him for any bracha. She didn't ask him for any bracha. She knew that he was a tzaddik. She told her husband, Shivayarki Isha Lekim Kaddish Ever Aleina. She made for him a special room that no one should. It wasn't like a guest room that any guest that comes he could stay there. She made for him a room just for him. There was no guest. It was only for Elisha Hanavi. No one else was able to be there. That's Hira, by the way. You give a guest room. You make a special room just for him. So you make an apartment for that person himself. It wasn't like it was a room for Elisha Hanavi. And then she didn't ask him for any brachas. He offered her to give her a bracha. So she said, "You're offering me." Elisha asked her, "What do you need?" She said, "I don't need anything. I just made a place for you. I'm not coming to take benefit off of you." Agapane gave a bracha for her son, and the son died. And she told Elisha Navi, "If you're giving me a bracha, just I didn't ask you for anything. I didn't ask you for any favors. You gave me the bracha. You gave me the bracha. Just don't make my life miserable." You gave me a bracha, so then and then so the famous story, Elisha Navi laid down on the boy, some piv al piv, ve'enav aleinav, yadav al yadav, and he blew into him 7 times, and he zchuf galep. So this Pashti read the story in Tanakh. So he did the same thing on his sons. And he laid down on the boy, and he blew into him a couple of times, and there's zun zchuf galept. So then he went back. These Chassidim in Russia, they went to the Tzemach Tzedek, but they lived far, and he didn't go to the Tzemach for a couple of years. But then, because he learned Tanakh and he learned the story, so the Tzemach Tzedek initially he would have never had his son back. If he wouldn't have known the story, he wouldn't have known the method of how to revive dead people. So he was mamish. He went back to the Lubavitch to thank the Tzemach Tzedek. When he came to the Lubavitch, the Tzemach Tzedek wasn't alive anymore. She went after the Tzemach Tzedek. So he told the Rebbe Marash the story that was he getroffen. So the Rebbe Marash had gesagt, he told the Rebbe Marash that since your father gave me the eitzah to learn the Tzena Orena, hat der Tzena Orena geraten mit mein Sohn. So the Rebbe Marash said, nicht das Tzena Orena, so der Tatas Tzena Orena. It's not the Tzena Orena gematz gewinnt ein Sohn. So der Tatas Tzena Orena. You say that since Chassidus, it's not a piece, Chassidus is a piece, the fact. You have a regular piece of art, let's say. So you say the artist was malbish the idea within the art. Now you look at the art, and you're able to have some contact with the Inyan, with the experience that the artist invested in this piece of art, or the niggin. This is always the Tatas Tzena Orena. It's not like seichel is seichel, and we're very very limited people. The fact that we're able to, through learning Chassidus, we're able to access and to connect to the pnimiyas dimension which there is within ourselves and within Chassidus itself, that's matano. It always stays a matano amayla. The fact that a person through learning a Maimer Chassidus is able to connect to something deeper, something beyond himself. That's not a regular thing. Learning a Maimer, you connect to something beyond yourself, and that's always that's their Tatas Tzena Orena. Rabbi Yisrael used to say when I was in yeshiva, when I was in Alteri, that the reason why they never printed behind the Tanya and behind the Likutei Torah and every Sefer Chassidus that was printed, as a sign that I've heard. The Rebbe had eingestellt the Mafteach in Yanim in the back. The Tanya is Mafteach in Yanim, and there's what do you have to put a Mafteach in Yanim? The Alter Rebbe wrote a Sefer, put the Alter Rebbe Sefer Kameshu. But you have to add in his Mafteach in Yanim, or the Rebbe in Samach Vav, you have the Rebbe's Mafteach in Yanim in the back. You have Mar Mekemis, Tziyunim. What's that from home in the other Sachen? So there's Likutei Torah. It's not the Tatas Tzena Orena. That's the fact that Chassidus is any Chassidus, Tanya, it's not that the Alter Rebbe invested a psilukus in a sefer, then you read the sefer, you have the Inyan. It's always connected, it's always a special power, a special koyach that there's an Einge Gemi Gevorn Chassidus. That's I'm a learned Chassidus. You connect to the truth. You connect to Elokus. Or we darf lernen, darf sein verbunden, darf lernen, and then to be Pel Yeshua is benafshe. So the Rebbe writes, the Friedrich Rebbe writes actually in Ayim Yom, the Shana Tevye believe in the Chassidus B'darkei Chassidus that the Aveda Sayim Rosh Hashanah is Sayim is Vadus of the Kislev. I'm sorry, Yom is Vadus v'Kabbalas Achotas Tevis v'Kevea Itim for Limud Anigla and Limud Chassidus. I think he says Barabim there, but in the Kevea is an Itim, the Nigla and the Chassidus. It's a Geula for Chassidus, a Geula for Elokus, a Geula for the fact that there was Chassidus in the world. That the Alter Rebbe was making nevers that every single person, me and you and everybody else, should be able to have access in a comprehensive way, in an understandable way, in a way that it should connect with them. They should be able to relate to it. It should become part of their life, to connect to the Lukus, which is really their Primius. The Alter Rebbe hat das durchgeführt in Pearl gewesen. Darf man es nehmen ernst? Das allein nehmen in sich, tonnen them. Is to say a mashal. Maybe you heard this mashal, but a very lazy bird. You heard the mashal ever? It's a very lazy bird that was so lazy, even though it was very, very thirsty, but it was very lazy. It was on the bottom of a mountain, and on top of a mountain there was a stream of water. But this bird was very lazy to climb up the mountain. It was very, very full. So Mele, it didn't, even though it was dead thirsty, but it didn't had no patience to go up the mountain. And then the Eivishter had Rachmanas on the bird, and he made a meredik ruach, very strong wind, and he took the bird and geflogen on top of the mountain, on top of the thing. So now it doesn't have to climb up a mountain to get to the water. The water's right there. It's a gleich dort. Then, but the bird has to bend himself down and to drink from the water. But the bird got lazy after a while, and it didn't have the energy to bend itself down and to carve itself. It's a little bit of to strain yourself, to bend down your neck and to go down to the water. It got lazy to do that. So they elevated the water closer to the bird's mouth. But to actually swallow, you can't make that. You have to do yourself to swallow. You can connect the water the closest possible to the bird. But to swallow, that's his own evarim, that's his own mitzias. So that he has to do himself. He can't make make him function. That's something else functioning in him. That's not him drinking. Then they wouldn't do the effect. For him, the drink has to drink himself. So saying the Alter Rebbe, the Rabbeim, they brought Chassidus most available, most possible. You don't have to. You could sit on a couch, lay back. You could do many, many things. You don't have to bend too much to learn about Chassidus. But at the end of the day, your brain has to be activated. If your brain is not activated and it's not functioning and it's not working, then nothing's going to work. So you have many, many methods which made Limud Chassidus, I'm talking about learning Chassidus itself, made it very easy, made it very accessible. You don't have to strain yourself too much. But the cup darf arbeiten ein bisschen trachten, ein bisschen nutzen die cup, ein bisschen. And you have to arbeiten auf them. I don't know who I'm speaking to. Maybe I'm speaking to people which learn Chassidus Shayes, Midi MBM. I have no idea. Maybe but it's, even if you learn Chassidus Midi Shayes, Midi MBM, but still there's always room to add, to be meisif, in Eichos and in Kamus. L'chaim.